So hello everyone. Today we have our zero waste ambassadors with us to tell us some tips on how to reduce waste at work and at home. The zero waste ambassadors are a group of students who help our zero waste team in achieving our initiatives, and we also have our UCLA zero waste manager Kiki Wong with us as well. So take it away.
Okay, hi everyone. While the slides load, please feel free to write in the chat or unmute yourself if you can't see the slides. And if there's any issues, also feel free to tell us in the chat. But thank you for being here today. My name is Alejandra Chavez, and our presentation is focused on tips for reducing waste at both home and work. My pronouns are she, they, and I am one of the UCLA Zero Waste Ambassadors. Specifically one of the program coordinators. I'll let the rest of my team introduce themselves.
Hello everyone, my name is Ying and my pronouns are she, her. I am one of the other program coordinators. Thank you so much for coming to our presentation today.
Hello, my name is Carly. I am also programs coordinator. My pronouns are she, her, and yeah, looking forward to speaking today.
And hi, I'm Sumaya. I am a housing zero waste coordinator, and thanks for coming.
And lastly, hi everyone, my name is Kiki. I am the zero waste manager for UCLA. My internet is incredibly unstable today, so I will be staying off camera and monitoring the chat if there's any questions.
And that's our team, y'all. So now I'll just go on a little spiel about who we are. So at at the department Zero Waste, we're really focused on creating and implementing sustainable initiatives and practices on campus, so we can bring the UC system's goal to becoming zero waste closer. And we also provide information and resources in order to make being able to commit to zero waste an accessible thing for many students on campus, and to let everyone partake in this movement to create a more sustainable future and against our fight against climate change. Yeah, I will leave the next slide to our team.
So this is a Waste at UCLA 101, just a crash course to give you some context. There's a lot of things that's going around here, so we want to just show you visually what happens to our waste. So UCLA generates waste, as we all know, and our recyclable materials, paper, glass, metal, and plastic, is hauled off by our waste hauler, Athens Services, and it goes to the Sun Valley Materials Recovery Facility, where they sort it out into the individual commodities, and it gets sent to various manufacturers for processing. So for example, they take paper and they turn it into new paper. They take those bottles and cans and turn them into new bottles and cans and other products. These new products are sold in stores, which we purchase as a campus, and it comes back to UCLA. And we like to see this because it's a circular economy. That means nothing is really ever wasted in this process, and finite materials and limited resources are not lost. Same thing happens with our electronic waste. Human IT is our partner vendor that takes these materials and they actually refurbish it. So they clear out any sort of sensitive data from campus, they refurbish it, and they provide it back to the community to bridge that digital divide. So as we know, we've been very dependent on internet, on electronics, on computers to work, study, get anything done around in this 21st century. So they take these and they redistribute to the community, and some of it will eventually come back to UCLA, which we like to see. For any sort of compostable materials, they actually get taken to American Organic, which is a facility in Victorville, where they turn it back into compost, which is a nutrient-rich soil amendment that is used by agricultural sectors to grow more produce, to grow more trees. Eventually, the trees may produce fruit or vegetables that comes back to the stores, goes back to UCLA. Again, it's a circular economy, which we love to see. The last thing that happens is with our landfill waste. And as you guessed it, they end up in a landfill. As you can see from this diagram, it doesn't really go anywhere. It's not circular at all. Whatever is sent to the landfill stays in the landfill, which is what we don't want to see. Things like low-grade plastics or mixed material products or just things that can't be reused in any way get sent to the landfill, and they stay forever and ever and ever in a literal pit of soil. They bury it, and that's what it's like. So just to give you some context as to how waste is managed on this campus. So Alejandra is going to explain why zero waste is important to us in the next slide.
Thank you so much. So waste is a human's right issue. It's a public health issue, an environmental issue, and of course, one of the reasons why we are currently dealing with climate change. Why zero waste is so important to us and why this movement is so important is because we believe that everyone has a right to live in a clean, safe environment and have access to resources so they can sustain their livelihood and thrive. And it's important for us to be aware of our own consumption patterns and how our lifestyles contribute to ecological balance or collapse. So zero waste is ultimately important because we need to do our own part and recognize that individual actions are necessary but not sufficient. We must also bring about systemic change as well. And yeah, the next slide, I believe is Kiki as well.
Yeah, so as we go into this tips for living, a low waste at home and at work, we want to let you know that everyone's path looks a little bit different. So we are providing basic tips and information, but it may not be applicable to everybody based on your situation with time, finances, or just available resources in general. So we really want you to just kind of keep an open mind. And, it's important to know that we're all doing the best that we can with what we have. So because we are providing basic tips, please feel free to drop any questions along the way, no matter how simple or advanced. We are here to help. And a reminder that small steps lead to really big changes. So this is a diagram I love to use, and at a glance, it looks really complicated. There's so many colors and branches and different things you can do. So what you want to do is just start small. For example, maybe you want to start by shopping. And you can start by, okay, I'm going to bring my reusable bag. Like that's a really easy thing I can do. And then you kind of take it to the next one. Like, okay, now that I got into the habit of bringing my reusable bags, what else can I do? Can I say, maybe I'll shop at a bulk store, whether that's a kind of a Costco-esque thing where you buy in large quantities or something that's package free, and just kind of keep going down that list. And then once you're comfortable, you move on to the next branch or you try something new. So like I said, everyone's path looks a little bit different. We're here to provide you some starting tips and tricks and then answer any questions you may have afterwards.
Okay, so now we want to hear from you all a little bit about how you try to currently reduce your waste at home or at work. So what we're going to have you do, you can do this on your phone. That's easiest for me. Just go to Safari and then go to www.menti.com and then use this code right here, and then we'll be able to see a word cloud of what everyone does. So just take 2 minutes. We'll regroup at 12:11 and we'll take a look at what we do. Right, we got a lot of good things going on. Looks like recycle, compost is a big one, cooking, reusable bags. This is all really good stuff. Recycle bottles, donate, it's a great one. We're gonna talk more about that later. Reusable food storage, amazing. Double-sided printing, yes, that's a really good one, especially for work. Paper sheet detergent, yes, I use that, one of my favorites. Okay, meal planning, kitchen compost. These are all great. And thank you so much for putting your feedback in, and a lot of these we are going to keep talking about further in the presentation. So just take a look at this word cloud. It looks like we have a lot of similar things. Buying in small amounts, kitchen compost, don't get plastic utensils. Real great job.
Okay, thank you. And I just saw in the chat that the word cloud, I don't think we shared our screen for it, but hopefully what Samaya read out was able to suffice for that. Sorry about that. But yeah, thank you so much for your input. A lot of what you guys already said, I will be just talking about. So these are some tips that I found helpful, and when I was doing the research, I found really interesting to help reduce waste at home. And the first thing I found was this idea of first in, first out. And basically it means after you get grocery, when you're unpacking it, shift all the older foods to the front of the fridge or the pantry and put the new ones in the bag. That way that you can use all your products before they expire and you don't have to buy new ones, after your old ones expire. And it's a great way to prevent clutter. Something else that you could do is to use reusable items in the kitchen. So for example, if you like baking, instead of using maybe tin foil or parchment paper, it would be a good idea to invest in a silicone baking sheets. And instead of using maybe paper towels, get hand towels or microfiber towels that you can use to dry dishes or dry your hands that you can reuse and wash. And if you use saran wrap or plastic wrap, a good idea to help store food is to use silicone snack bags or just Ziploc bags that you can just wash and reuse as well. And I know sometimes everyone gets pretty busy and takeout is probably the better option to get food. For that, it would just be great to consider supporting restaurants that has compostable or recyclable takeout containers. And also try not to use the disposable plastic spoons or forks. Bring your own or take them home and then use the ones you have at home.
Someone made a comment in the chat. So yes, microfiber towels do shed microplastics. So can use cotton or plant-based fabrics like hemp. So those are also great alternatives.
Thank you for catching that. I learn something new every day too. Yeah, thank you. I didn't even know that. Okay. And then for shopping, of course, a great way to reduce waste is to buy secondhand items. For those, you can help save an item from being sent to the landfills. You can also save some money. You can also, if you have old clothes, you can donate them to thrift stores or charity stores. And you can also just repurpose the old clothing you have as cloths or rags that you can use around the house. But sometimes it actually is more sustainable if you invest in a new item that you can use for a longer period of time, instead of buying a secondhand item that only lasts you for a shorter amount of time. And similarly, joining buy and sell groups. I know Facebook has a lot of them. They are a good way to help, again, keep items out of the landfills. And you can, pocket some cash if you're planning on selling some items. And of course, I know everyone mentioned reusing grocery bags, or another good idea is to use a box. I know if we go to Costco, they don't have grocery bags and they just give us a big box to carry our groceries, which is a great alternative to using plastic bags. But what I noticed for me personally is that even though if I have the attention to use grocery bags, I always forget them. And so what I do is that whenever I write a grocery list, I always put bags on the top just so I can remember it, or you can keep them in the back of your car just so that you can have them with you. And I know we already mentioned this too, but it's always a good idea to shop in bulk if you can, or buying plastic free. If you buy bulk of an item that you know you frequently use, you can prevent the waste that's generated from buying multiple individual package of that item. And of course, to anyone who hasn't switched to paperless billing, sorry, this is to just let you know, paperless billing, of course, help reduce waste, and it's actually a much safer and efficient way to handle billing. You can set up automated payments, so you don't have to worry about missing a payment. And actually, a lot of stores these days, they offer e-receipts, so electronic receipts. And of course, it's a better alternative to using paper receipts, and it's harder to lose if you need to make a return. And that's it for me. I'm going to pass it on to Carly, who will talk about reducing waste at work. Thank you.
Hello. So the next part of the presentation is going to be about reducing waste at work. So things that you can do while you're on campus at UCLA to reduce waste. So the first thing I wanted to go over is just the idea that small steps can make a big difference. So it may seem like, you know, a very small switch in the moment, but when these things add up over many days or amongst many people, they really can reduce a lot of waste. So examples of this is preparing a zero waste kit for when you go to work. So you can see a couple of examples here on the side of different examples of what that could look like. So things that you could include are bags, cutlery, water bottles, and Tupperware. And then an important thing to keep in mind is that you don't need to necessarily have an acute aesthetic or anything like that with your zero waste kit. Like, it can be things that you already have. So for example, bags could be something like bags that you already have in your home. Cutlery, you don't need to buy, like, even though this bamboo is very cute and cool, you don't need to necessarily buy that. You can always use utensils that you already have in your home. Water bottles, you can reuse an old plastic water bottle that you already have. And Tupperware, you can also reuse things that you have. So for example, takeout containers, or like containers that food has come in. So yeah, that's just kind of a quick preface on the zero waste at work. So this is kind of along the same lines. The first thing is to pack a waste-free lunch. So one thing that you could do is bring your lunch instead of ordering to go, because ordering to go is great, but can also is often associated with a lot of packaging. So bringing your lunch can be a good way to save money and also reduce the packaging. And then also, when you bring your lunch, you can bring it in reusable containers such as glass, metal, silicone bags, and old takeout containers. And another thing that you could do is use a lunch box instead of a brown bag, and bring your own reusable cups and cutlery, like was mentioned on the previous slide. And then another thing that can be impactful in the workplace is reducing paper use. So these are a few tips here on the screen of how specifically you can do that. So for example, you could opt for digital notes or PDFs when possible versus handwritten. Also, if you do need to print something, you could print it double-sided, which uses half as much paper. Reuse old file folders, and purchase, if you're in charge of purchasing paper, purchase 100% recycled paper. And then also, next I'll go into some information about how to sort waste at UCLA, because I know I've definitely talked to my friends, and also myself have learned about what goes in each bin. And I think it's definitely good knowledge to have going forward about what food goes in each bin. Yeah, so this here is kind of a visual representation of what goes in each bin. So first of all, there's the compost. So a general rule of thumb for the compost is that is any organic materials. So for example, food and soiled paper products. And some good things to know that I actually just learned about this year is knowing that compostable plastic actually cannot be composted. So that compostable plastic would go into the landfill bins and not the compost. And also that things like tea bags, coffee filters, food, and any soiled paper products go into the compost. And then the next bin is recycle. So this is any sort of hard plastics, mixed paper, metals, and glass. And you can put any of these items in the recycle, but it's important to empty the food and liquids into the compost before you put it into the recycle. And then last, the remaining items will go into the landfill. Oh, and something I forgot to mention for compost is like if you have a paper product and you're not sure if it can be composted, you can try the rip test. And if it rips, then that means it can be composted. So if you're ever unsure, you can try that test, and that can determine whether it can go into the compost. Oh yes, thank you, Kiki, for sharing. The reason why compostable plastics can't be composted is because they, even though they could theoretically be composted over a very long period of time, they don't break down fast enough in the composting facilities that, so unfortunately, yeah, they end up being contamination. And then also, I just wanted to share this slide because this is some information about how to deal with or how to dispose of special materials at UCLA. So for example, e-waste, universal waste, hazardous waste, and things going to the UCLA Safe Center. So this is all located on UCLA's Zero Waste website. So if you ever find yourself in a situation where you need to dispose of any of these items, I would recommend going to the UCLA Zero Waste website and finding out the best channel to dispose of it. And then also, this slide is just giving a quick overview of some of UCLA's Zero Waste resources. So if you want to scan this QR code down here, this is a link to our website, like I was talking about before. And there are a lot of great resources on there. So if you want to bookmark that website, it can be a great resource for the future. So some zero waste resources are the UCLA single-use plastic policy, UCLA surplus stop, kitchen companion, and special materials at UCLA. And I will go into each of these in more detail.
Actually, jump in here, Carly,
Oh,
real quick. So we do have a lot of resources available, like Carly said, and it's all linked into our website that I put into the chat. So if you are planning any sort of events, if you're having some sort of gathering meeting that involves catering, the single-use plastics policy site will be very helpful for you. To go over those UCLA surplus stop, Carly will actually go over that in a future slide. The UCLA Kitchen Companion is a kitchen companion. It will teach you how to shop, how to cook, and what to look for to have a low waste kitchen. And it also teaches you a lot of basic kitchen skills. So things like what to look for, how do you know when something went bad, how to understand those really confusing best by and expired by labels. They're all available on our website. If you take a look, just browsing through our many, many links and resources. Carly, if you go to the next slide, I'll actually dive into some additional ones that will be very helpful. So these are linked also on the website. The single-use plastics policy, the Office of Sustainability, the task force have spent a lot of time and resources investing in creating the resources for implementation, answering Q&A, and sort of anything that would relate to having a plastic on campus and trying to get that off campus. Relating to that is the Green Events Guide. If you're hosting an event, please check it out. We just updated it. It involves anything from communication, food and beverage, decorations, choosing promotional items, how to get transportation, and then of course, disposal. And then the Green Office Purchasing Guide, Danita actually helped create, and it lists everything that Office Depot would sell that is in compliance with our sustainable policies, as well as our procurement guidelines, as well as a single-use plastics policy. So these big three ones would be anything when you are trying to purchase something for your department. We're happy to go into that into detail if there's any questions that come up, but I'll throw these links in the chat. They're all super duper helpful. All right, you can go to the next slide.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. So the next resource that we are going to go over is the UCLA Surplus Stop. So this was actually just opened last quarter, and it's a space to both for donation if you have any items that you no longer need, and you can donate it to the Surplus Stop. And also, if you need a new item, you can take items for free. So it's kind of like a way to prevent good things from going to the landfill, and instead allow them to find a new home. So we are located in parking structure 9, and our hours of operation are currently every other Thursday from 1 to 4 p.m. by appointment only. So these are the dates for spring quarter 2022. And these QR codes are ways that you can check out the inventories to see what we have, to see if we have anything that you may need for your office. Here you can learn more information about the Surplus Stop. And then here you can scan this link to donate an item. So for example, if you have anything at your office that you're no longer needing, such as office supplies, furniture, and anything more, and you can scan it and fill out the form and set up an appointment to give it to the Surplus Stop. All right. And then also just to highlight a few on-campus resources. Each of these places are useful resources relating to waste. So for Human IT, they accept e-waste and lab equipment. The LA Sanitation accepts household hazardous waste, and Habitat for Humanity Restore is another place where you can donate furniture and small appliances if those cannot be accepted at the Surplus Stop.
Yeah,
so
and I'll just jump in to clarify. For Human IT, please, it is for departmental e-waste only. If you have any things that need to be cleared by your IT department, please send it out to them first for inventorying. It will eventually get sent to Human IT. They are required to be scheduled ahead of time. So I'll link the recycling request form in the chat in case you ever need it. This site is also home to many other links that you may need in your department. I know I've been sending a lot of links throughout, but if you just go to the main Zero Waste page, you'll find all of them on easy to access tabs. For LA Sanitation Safe Centers, they are for your household personal stuff. So you have e-waste from home. If you have any sort of medication or motor oil, paints, batteries, please take that to a safe center. It is located at UCLA, but it's not run by our department. It's just a resource for the LA community. In addition to the UCLA location, there are also multiple locations throughout Los Angeles County. So if you live, nowhere near Westwood, there may be one closer to you, and they also host mobile events around multiple cities that they partner with. So those are pop-up events, but the permanent ones stay there, and they have different times that are different than what UCLA has. So if you want to check out the Safe Center, just look it up, LA Sanitation Safe Center, many options for you. And lastly, for the restore, like Carly said, it's not, we would love to have the surplus stop first, but our surplus stop is limited in space. So if it can't fit there, I'll be working with you to get an appointment set up with the Habitat Restore. And I'll take this slide here too. If you want to take it to the next step, we do have a best practices checklist for zero waste and sustainability. So I'll also throw these into the chat. Like I said, sorry for the many links, but we've created many resources to help you all along your way. This sustainability checklist is all encompassing. It does include things like purchasing, in addition to, of course, zero waste. If you want to just look at the zero waste best practices, we also created a self-assessment document for your department. If you want to kind of analyze, hey, how are we doing? What are we disposing of the most here? And what can we do to improve, or what kind of resources do I need from the Office of Sustainability / Zero Waste to help me get along those lines? So there's a snippet of the checklist that we have. But again, we're always here to help you. We can't walk you through the entire process, but if you want to kind of get a jump start, we're happy to kind of guide you along the way. Self-assessment and best practices checklist for your own. Next.
So currently we're doing a Think Outside the Landfill challenge. This is a current campaign we're doing where each week there will be a list of challenges or to-dos corresponding to the weekly theme. And to indicate that you've completed these challenges, you can submit like the week's checkoff form, which is sent via our newsletter. And each item you check off will be one entry into our weekly giveaway. So here we have on the slide the QR code. Y'all can feel free to take a minute to scan in order to join our challenge. And our upcoming week, we have Sustainability and Culture Art Gallery at Kirkhoff as well. And we are doing this alongside our challenge so we can just inform our campus on ways to be more sustainable and keep our zero waste movement along. So yeah, this is our Think Outside the Landfill challenge, or we also have our acronym Total challenge as well. And yeah.
We do have prizes. So this week's prize is a Bite gift set starter kit. So if you join our challenges, you get rewarded with lovely things. And the staff have a different pool than the students. So in actuality, you have a higher chance of winning if you participate. Next slide.
All right, now we are going to review with a little bit of a quiz. Carly, can you see my screen?
I cannot see your screen. Should I stop? I can stop share and you can share a screen.
Yes. Okay, can we see it? All
Yes.
right. Everyone go ahead and type in the code join, or type in the website joinmyquiz.com, and then the game code you're going to use is 195665. So I'll give y'all a second to do that.
And I will mention that we do have prizes very end of this presentation for a $20 gift card to Refillery LA, who will actually be coming to campus tomorrow at the farmers market. This is the UCLA farmers market, not the one in Westwood. So this will be from 2 to
Did Kiki cut out a little bit?
Yes, I think she did. But I think she was just going to say the farmers market, the Refinely LA is going to come at 2 to 3 p.m. at the farmers market. Hopefully she'll be back soon.
All right, has everyone gotten on? Could you go ahead and raise your hand if you're on? Okay. Carly, I cannot see who's raising their hand, so could you update me?
I don't see any hands, but let me know if anyone is having, okay.
Yeah, I tried it too, and it says the code was invalid.
All right, let's try something slightly different. All right, try this one on. All right, this one is working. Amazing. All right, we're gonna wait one more minute just for people that are still finding the link. All right, I'm gonna start the quiz and you should still be able to join if you're trying to. All right, just a review of this session. All right, what are some reusable replacements for tin foil or parchment paper? Whew. Let's see. All right, it's the leaderboard. Okay, yes, so the correct answer was silicone baking sheet because that is the best replacement for tinfoil or parchment paper. Beeswax wrap also could work, but it's a little bit trickier. All right, next question. All right, some characteristics of sustainable takeout. Looks like SM is in the lead. Great job. And it was all of the above. These are all great options for sustainable takeout. tricky, I'll be honest. All right. Oof. Switching up the leaderboard a little bit. Okay, compostable material will decompose faster because I guess we'll find out in the next question why. Nice. Okay, so the correct answer is Chiquita Canyon Landfill. Talked about that at the very beginning. All right. John in the lead. And the correct answer is all of the above, which looks like everyone got. So great job. Right, which sites can be used for secondhand clothing shopping? Right, changing it up a little. Still with John in the lead, and we have all of the above. These are all really good places to buy secondhand clothes. Right, what is the best way to remember to pay paperless bills? Right. And we have all three things. I mean, enter invoices due date in your calendar, mark emails as important until they are paid, your own personal method. Honestly, this one might get a little tricky, especially if you have a lot of bills to pay, but if that's what works for you, that's what works for you. Is it better to opt for biodegradable or compostable products? All right. And compostable products are better just because they are able to decompose faster. Biodegradable just means that it will eventually break down, but compostable means that it will break down a lot easier and you can have organic material out of it. What are useful ways to reduce toiletry waste? All right, let's see. And we are going to, okay. So it looks like we could utilize a surplus shop and buy low waste products. It is not that helpful to buy as much as a product as possible because we don't want to waste any. And it looks like no one picked this one. Y'all are good. All right, are handkerchiefs a solid way to reduce waste? All right, we're gonna do 5 more seconds on this one. Let's see. Updated leaderboard. And I would say yes. Solid people said 10, and 1 person said no, and 4 people said yes, please. I love handkerchiefs. I'm gonna agree with these people over here. Love me a hanky. What is the best way to avoid excessive packaging in products? All right, we're gonna do 5 more seconds. All right, let's see. All right, it looks like we have buying products that aren't single serving and buying in bulk. It's not great to use disposable cutlery every day. It's better to use cutlery that you can keep using over and over again. All right, we talked about this. What is the first in, first out rule? All right, I'm gonna do 5 more seconds. And then one last question. Yes, we have shift older foods to the front of the fridge when unloading groceries. Amazing. And our final question. Which is more sustainable? You tell me. All right, we'll give it 5 more seconds. All right, and now for the final leaderboard. All right, congrats, Caitlin. Whew.
Actually, the top 3 winners. So I think it's Caitlin, Ron, and one more person. But we will, please, if you are the top 3, send us your email, or you can send it to me directly, and we will be in touch with you to pick your choice. Setting up to pick the big winner for the $20 gift card. I want to take this time to thank you for spending your hour lunch with us, and to also take this time to open it up to any sort of Q&A that you have about zero waste, either at home or at UCLA. So I know I sent a bajillion links into the chat. It's because we have made so many different resources for y'all. We want you to be successful. We will, of course, send it in a follow-up email. I think all the attendees will kind of get something to just say thank you, and we'll send you all the links. There are so many departmental resources, as well as, we're here to help you with day-to-day questions on and off campus. So if you feel like you're kind of stuck in a rut, we and the ambassadors are here to help you along that. So anything from, hey, Kiki, what do I do? Share with me your secret oat milk recipe. How do you do it at home? We're here for that, and we love it. And we hope to see you at future Think Outside the Landfill activities to learn how to be an environmental leader for we're here as a resource, and we want to thank you again for joining us today. Whoever was in 3rd place, please send me an email and I'll get in touch with you. And are we ready with the big prize wheel, Alejandra?
Yeah, we're almost ready. Just putting in like 3 more names, and then I will spin the wheel for y'all, and I'll just like go off camera real quick. So give me like 2 minutes. Sorry, y'all.
While we're waiting for the wheel, those of you that are still on the Zoom with us, could you please fill out this quick Google form we made just to let us know how we did, any feedback for future presentations. Should we make it more engaging? How was it informative? We really, really appreciate any feedback you have. It's a really quick form. Thank you if you can fill it out for us. And thank you for attending our presentation. We hope you learned some important and some fun tips for reducing waste.